Have you ever asked yourself, why should I read books in English? Maybe you think you've done enough already, attending English classes, doing your homework, watching movies in English, or even practicing your English listening and speaking skills. But what about reading books? Why is this activity so important? The truth is, reading books in English is the most effective way to improve your language skills. Let me explain why. First, reading isn't just about understanding words on a page. It's about expanding your vocabulary and strengthening your grammar naturally. This isn't only useful for studying, it's essential for your everyday life and career. Did you know that nowadays, almost every job, whether you're an office worker or a mechanic, requires more reading and writing than ever before? Reading prepares you to meet these challenges. Imagine this. You're trying to communicate with a native English speaker, but your vocabulary is limited. Reading books can help you enrich your word bank and build confidence in your conversations. How amazing would it be if reading one book could significantly improve both your speaking and writing skills? So, if you're looking for the best way to level up your English, don't stop at homework or watching movies. Start reading. In the next sections, I'll share the incredible benefits of reading and how you can begin this journey today. Stay tuned, because we're about to explore something truly exciting. Part 2. Benefits of reading. Let's talk about the incredible benefits of reading in English. You may already know that reading is useful, but do you realize just how powerful it is? Reading can transform your language skills and even your life. Let me explain in detail why reading is so valuable. Improves all core language skills. Reading is unique because it doesn't just improve one part of your English. It strengthens all the core language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. How is that possible? Well, when you read, you're constantly encountering new words and phrases. These words naturally become part of your mental library, which helps you use them when speaking or writing. And while reading doesn't directly improve your listening skills, it helps build a stronger vocabulary. The more words you know, the easier it is to understand spoken English. Think about it. If you've read a word several times in a book, it'll be much easier to recognize and understand when someone says it in a conversation. 2. Expands vocabulary and grammar naturally. Reading is one of the best ways to expand your vocabulary. Unlike memorizing words from a list, reading allows you to learn new words in context. This means you don't just learn what a word means, you also learn how it's used. For example, you'll see which words are commonly paired together, how they fit into sentences, and what tone they carry: formal, informal, or even humorous. The same is true for grammar. When you read, you're constantly exposed to correct sentence structures, verb tenses, and punctuation. You might not even notice it, but your brain absorbs these patterns. Over time, your grammar improves without you needing to consciously study it. 3. Improves reading speed and comprehension. At first, reading in English might feel slow and difficult. You may need to use a dictionary frequently or reread certain sentences. But as you practice, you'll notice that your reading speed improves. You'll start recognizing words and phrases faster, and understanding the overall meaning of a text will become easier. This skill is invaluable for students preparing for exams or professionals who need to read reports, emails, or presentations quickly. Enhances critical thinking and cultural awareness. Reading isn't just about language, it's about ideas. When you read in English, you're exposed to new perspectives, cultures, and ways of thinking. You might read about historical events, scientific discoveries, or stories from different parts of the world. This not only broadens your knowledge, but also improves your ability to analyze and think critically about what you've read. For example, when you read a novel, you're constantly interpreting characters' actions and motives. This sharpens your ability to understand and evaluate information. 5. Reduces stress and increases motivation. Did you know that reading can also improve your mental health? Studies show that reading for pleasure reduces stress and improves focus. If you choose books that you enjoy, reading becomes a relaxing activity rather than a chore. This can make learning English feel less like work and more like a fun, personal journey. And when you enjoy learning, you're more motivated to stick with it. Say, provides a gateway to real-world language. Unlike textbooks, which often focus on artificial examples, books provide real-world language. You'll encounter idioms, slang, and expressions that native speakers actually use. For example, if you read a detective novel, you might learn phrases like breaking the case or under the radar. These are the kinds of phrases that make your English sound natural and fluent. 7. Improves confidence in communication. One of the biggest obstacles for English learners is a lack of confidence. Reading helps overcome this. When you've read a lot, you feel more comfortable using English because you're familiar with how the language works. You're not just guessing. You're drawing from a deep pool of knowledge. Imagine having a conversation and being able to recall words and phrases from a book you've read. That confidence can make all the difference. Makes learning fun and engaging. Finally, reading can make learning English fun. The key is to choose books you genuinely enjoy. Whether it's a mystery, romance, science fiction, or biography, find something that excites you. When you're engaged in a story, you're not just learning, you're enjoying the journey. And that enjoyment makes it easier to stay consistent with your practice. Closing statement. To sum up, the benefits of reading in English are endless. It improves your vocabulary, grammar, confidence, and critical thinking while exposing you to new cultures and ideas. It helps you learn naturally and makes the process enjoyable. So, if you haven't made reading a habit yet, now is the perfect time to start. Remember, every book you read brings you one step closer to fluency. In the next section, I'll show you how to make reading easier and more effective. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it. Part 3. Reading for Pleasure. Now that we've explored why reading in English is important and the benefits it brings, let's talk about something that makes reading even more powerful. Reading for pleasure. This is not about textbooks, tests, or required readings. This is about choosing books that you love, stories that excite you, and topics that fascinate you. Let's dive into what it means to read for pleasure and why it's so effective. What is reading for pleasure? Reading for pleasure is exactly what it sounds like. Reading because you want to, not because you have to. It's about picking up a book, magazine, or even a comic that grabs your interest and enjoying the process of discovering what's inside. Unlike academic reading, there are no rules or deadlines. You're in control, and the goal is to have fun while learning naturally. Tao. Why is reading for pleasure so effective? Studies have shown that reading for pleasure is one of the most effective ways to improve your language skills. Why? Because when you enjoy what you're reading, you're more likely to stay engaged and read for longer periods of time. And the more you read, the more you learn, without even realizing it. Think of it this way. If you're reading a textbook, you might only focus on the task for 20 minutes before getting bored or distracted. But if you're reading a gripping novel or a fascinating biography, you might lose track of time and read for hours. This sustained focus helps you absorb vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structures effortlessly. 3. The difference between academic reading and reading for pleasure. In school, you might be used to reading textbooks or short stories with exercises at the end. While this kind of reading has its place, it often feels like a chore. You're reading because you have to, not because you want to. On the other hand, reading for pleasure is a completely different experience. It's about enjoying the story or gaining knowledge on a topic you're passionate about. For example, imagine reading a fantasy novel where the characters go on epic adventures. You're not just learning English, you're getting lost in another world. Or think about reading a self-help book that inspires you to improve your life. In both cases, the focus isn't on language, it's on the content. But along the way, your English skills improve naturally. How to choose books for pleasure reading. The key to successful pleasure reading is finding materials that match your interests and language level. Here are a few tips. Pick topics you love. Whether it's romance, science fiction, mystery, or history, choose something you're genuinely curious about. Start with simpler books. If you're a beginner, try graded readers or books specifically written for English learners. These books are designed to be easy to read while still being engaging. Explore translations. If you've read a book in your native language and loved it, try reading the English version. Familiarity with the story will help you understand the English text more easily. Experiment with different genres. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. You might discover a new favorite genre or author. 5. Real-life examples of pleasure reading success. Let me share a few inspiring examples. In one study conducted in the United States, a group of students was given free books, fun ones like James Bond novels. The students weren't required to read the books, but most of them did. Some even finished a book every 2 days. Years later, these students showed remarkable improvements in their reading and writing skills compared to students who didn't have access to these books. They also reported enjoying school more. Another study in Fiji compared 3 teaching methods: traditional grammar-focused classes, silent reading sessions, and teacher-led reading activities. Unsurprisingly, the students who read, either silently or with their teacher, outperformed those in traditional classes. They didn't just improve in reading, they became better at grammar and writing as well. 6. Addressing common concerns. Maybe you're thinking, but reading in English is too hard for me. Also, I don't have time to read. Let me reassure you, it's okay to start small. If it feels too hard, begin with books written for English learners or short stories. Gradually work your way up to more challenging material. If you're short on time, even reading for 10 minutes a day can make a difference. Keep a book with you and read during breaks or before bed. If you get bored easily, switch to something else. There's no rule that says you have to finish every book you start. The goal is to find something that keeps you hooked. 7. The joy of immersion. One of the greatest joys of reading for pleasure is the sense of immersion. When you find a book you love, you forget that you're learning English. Instead, you're transported into the story, connecting with characters, exploring new ideas, and imagining new worlds. This level of engagement helps you absorb the language more deeply than any grammar exercise ever could. Q. A personal invitation. I want to challenge you to start reading for pleasure today. Think about what interests you. Maybe it's a thrilling mystery, an inspiring autobiography, or even a collection of short stories. Whatever it is, find a book that speaks to you and give it a try. You might just discover a love for reading that changes the way you learn English forever. Closing statement. Reading for pleasure is more than just a tool for learning. It's a gateway to new worlds, ideas, and experiences. It's an opportunity to enjoy the process of learning English while enriching your mind and your life. So grab a book, dive into a story, and see where it takes you. In the next section, I'll guide you on how to build a sustainable reading habit. Stay tuned. You're about to take your English to the next level. Part 4. Success Stories and Experiments. In the previous sections, we've explored why reading in English is important and how reading for pleasure can transform your language skills. Now, let's dive into real-life success stories and fascinating experiments that prove just how powerful reading can be for learning English. These examples will inspire you and show you that it's possible to achieve amazing results through consistent reading. 1. The American Schools Experiment. Free books, big results. Let's start with a remarkable experiment conducted in schools across the United States. Researchers gave a group of boys free books. Fun ones, not textbooks. These included exciting stories like James Bond novels, adventure books, and popular fiction. The boys were not required to read the books. They were simply told, "These are for you. Do what you want with them." What happened next was incredible. Many of the boys devoured the books. Some read so much that they finished a book every 2 days. Over time, their reading and writing skills improved dramatically. When the students were tested years later, those who had been given the books showed significant growth in literacy compared to their peers who didn't receive any books. More importantly, these boys began to see reading as enjoyable and rewarding, which motivated them to read even more. The Fiji Islands Study, a shift in learning methods. Another fascinating experiment took place in the Fiji Islands, focusing on students learning English as a second language. Researchers compared 3 teaching methods: traditional English classes with grammar exercises, Silent reading sessions, where students were allowed to read books of their choice in class. Teacher-led reading sessions, where the teacher read books aloud to the class. After 1 year, the results were clear. The students who participated in the silent reading and teacher-led reading groups outperformed the traditional grammar-focused group in every area. They became more confident readers and writers and even performed better in grammar tests. This study demonstrated that reading, whether silently or with guidance, is far more effective for language acquisition than focusing solely on grammar exercises. 3. The Singapore Experiment: Silent Reading for Grammar Improvement. In Singapore, researchers repeated a similar experiment, but with a twist. This time, they focused on how silent reading impacts grammar skills. Once again, the silent reading group outshone the traditional class. These students performed better in grammar tests, even though they spent less time explicitly studying grammar. Why? Because through reading, they were naturally exposed to correct sentence structures and grammar in context. This reinforced the idea that reading is not just about understanding stories. It's also a powerful tool for mastering grammar effortlessly. 4. A personal success story: Learning Spanish through reading. Let me share a personal story about how reading can transform language learning. In 2017, I decided to learn Spanish. I had taken a few classes before but didn't make much progress. So, I set myself a challenge. I would read 1 million words in Spanish. That's about 40 novels, a daunting goal. I started with very simple books, much like the ones I recommend for beginner English learners. As I gained confidence, I moved on to translations of books I had already read in English, such as Harry Potter and Game of Thrones. Finally, I tackled original works by Latin American authors like Isabel Allende and Jorge Luis Borges. By the end of the year, I had achieved my goal. I could understand almost everything I read, hold conversations with native speakers, and express myself with confidence. I hadn't spent hours memorizing vocabulary or studying grammar. Instead, I learned these naturally through the context of stories. This experience proved to me that reading isn't just an enjoyable activity. It's a transformative way to learn a language. The Role of Fun in Learning: Stephen Krashen's Insights. One of the leading experts in language acquisition, Dr. Stephen Krashen emphasizes the importance of enjoyment in learning. He argues that people learn best when they are genuinely interested in the material. Reading for pleasure creates the perfect environment for this. When you're absorbed in a story, you forget that you're learning a new language. Instead, you're focused on the plot, the characters, and the emotions. Meanwhile, your brain is doing the work of picking up vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structures, all without you realizing it. Overcoming challenges from difficult to enjoyable. You might be thinking, this all sounds great, but reading in English is too hard for me. That's a common concern, and it's valid. But remember, even small steps can lead to big progress. Start with books that are easy and enjoyable. For example, short stories designed for English learners. Children's books with simple vocabulary and engaging illustrations. Comics or graphic novels, which combine text and visuals to make the story easier to follow. As you grow more comfortable, you can gradually move on to more challenging material. The key is to find books that match your level and interests. If a book feels too hard or boring, don't be afraid to put it down and try something else. Reading should be fun, not frustrating. 7. The long-term benefits of reading. The most inspiring part of these stories and experiments is that the benefits of reading extend far beyond language learning. When you develop a habit of reading, you're not just improving your English, you're building skills that will serve you for a lifetime. You'll become a better communicator, a more critical thinker, and a more informed individual. These are qualities that will help you succeed in school, your career, and your personal life. Closing statement. These success stories and experiments show that reading is more than just an activity. It's a powerful tool for growth and transformation. Whether you're reading to improve your English, learn about new cultures, or simply enjoy a good story, the rewards are immense. So, take inspiration from these examples and start your own reading journey today. Who knows? One day, your success story might inspire someone else to pick up a book and begin their journey. Part 5. Practical tips for reading. Now that we understand the importance of reading and have been inspired by success stories, it's time to talk about the how. How can you make reading in English a consistent, enjoyable, and effective habit? In this section, I'll share practical tips that will help you get started and stay motivated on your reading journey. 1. Start with the right materials. Choosing the right reading material is the first and most important step. If a book is too difficult or uninteresting, you're likely to give up. Here's how to find the perfect match. Begin at your level. If you're a beginner, look for graded readers or books written specifically for English learners. These are designed to match your language proficiency and often include helpful glossaries or vocabulary lists. Choose what you love, whether it's mystery, romance, science fiction, or biographies. Pick topics that genuinely interest you. Reading something you enjoy will keep you engaged and make the process more fun. Experiment with genres. If you're not sure what you like, try different genres. You might discover a love for historical fiction, self-help books, or even graphic novels. Leverage what you already know. Start with books you've read in your native language or stories you're already familiar with. Knowing the plot in advance makes it easier to focus on understanding the English text. Set realistic goals. To make reading a habit, it's important to set achievable goals. Here are some ideas. Daily reading time. Commit to reading for just 10-15 minutes a day. Over time, you can increase this as your reading stamina improves. Weekly. Page goals. Set a goal to finish a certain number of pages or chapters each week. Themed challenges. Challenge yourself to read books on a specific topic by a particular author or within a certain genre. For example, you could aim to read 3 detective novels or 5 short stories in a month. Why? Use tools to support your reading. Don't be afraid to use tools to help you understand what you're reading. These can make the process smoother and more enjoyable. Dictionaries. Use a bilingual or monolingual dictionary to look up unfamiliar words, but don't overdo it. Try to guess the meaning from context first. Apps and e-readers. Many e-readers like Kindle have built-in dictionaries and translation features. They can also track your reading progress. Audiobooks. Combine listening with reading by using audiobooks. Hearing the correct pronunciation while following along with the text improves both your listening and reading skills. Annotations. Highlight or underline words and phrases that stand out to you. You can review them later to reinforce your learning. Create a reading routine. Consistency is key to making progress. Here's how to build a reading routine. Choose a regular time. Read at the same time every day, whether it's in the morning, during lunch, or before bed. Find a comfortable space. Set up a cozy reading nook where you can relax and focus. Eliminate distractions. Turn off notifications on your phone and find a quiet place to read. By creating a routine, reading becomes a natural part of your day. 5. Read actively and engage with the text. Passive reading won't get you far. Engage with what you're reading to maximize your learning. Ask questions. What is the main idea of the text? What do you think will happen next? Summarize. After each chapter, write a short summary in your own words. This reinforces your understanding and helps with vocabulary retention. Discuss. Share what you've read with friends, teachers, or language exchange partners. Talking about the story helps you practice speaking and makes the experience more enjoyable. Overcome common challenges. Let's address some of the most common challenges English learners face when reading. I don't understand every word. It's okay. Focus on the overall meaning of the sentence or paragraph. You don't need to know every word to enjoy a story. I get bored easily. If a book isn't holding your interest, switch to something else. Reading should be enjoyable, not a chore. It's too time-consuming. Remember, even reading for a few minutes a day makes a difference. Keep a book with you and read during spare moments. 7. Track your progress. Tracking your progress keeps you motivated and helps you see how far you've come. Here's how to do it. Keep a reading journal. Write down the titles of books you've read, along with your thoughts and favorite quotes. Join reading challenges. Participate in online challenges like reading 12 books in a year or 30 pages a week. Celebrate milestones. Reward yourself when you finish a book or reach a new level of difficulty. For example, treat yourself to a new book or a special activity. Make reading social. Reading doesn't have to be a solitary activity. Here are ways to make it more interactive. Join a book club. Many book clubs focus on English learners and discuss books at various levels. Partner with a friend. Read the same book as a friend and discuss it together. Share online. Post about your reading journey on social media or join forums where readers discuss their favorite books. Gradually increase difficulty. As your reading improves, challenge yourself with more complex materials. Start with children's books or short stories. Move on to young adult novels, which often have simple language but engaging plots. Eventually, try full-length novels, newspapers, or non-fiction books on topics you enjoy. 10. Stay patient and persistent. Finally, remember that improvement takes time. You might struggle at first, but every page you read is a step forward. Celebrate small wins, stay consistent, and don't give up. Over time, you'll notice that reading in English feels more natural, and your confidence will grow. Closing statement. With these practical tips, you're ready to make reading a consistent and enjoyable part of your English learning journey. Remember, it's not about how fast you read or how many books you finish. It's about the joy of discovery and the progress you make along the way. In the next section, we'll explore how to measure your progress and take your reading to the next level. Stay tuned and happy reading. Part 6. Author's Journey with Reading. By now, we've talked about the importance of reading, the incredible benefits it brings, and practical ways to make it a habit. But sometimes the best way to truly understand the power of reading is through personal experience. Let me share with you the journey of someone who transformed their life and language skills through reading. My journey. This story isn't just about learning English or any other language. It's about discovering the power of persistence, curiosity, and a love for learning. The beginning, a struggle with language. My journey with reading didn't start smoothly. I wasn't always a confident reader, even in my own language. When I began learning a second language, it felt overwhelming. I couldn't understand half the words on the page, and I had to constantly rely on a dictionary. It was frustrating, and there were moments when I thought, maybe this isn't for me. But something kept me going, a desire to unlock the world of stories, knowledge, and connections that language could offer. The turning point, a 1,000,000-word challenge. In 2017, I set myself an ambitious goal. I decided to learn Spanish by reading 1,000,000 words. That's roughly equivalent to 40 novels. It sounded impossible at the time, but I wanted to see if consistent, immersive reading could truly transform my language skills. I started small, choosing books that were simple and enjoyable. My first book was a children's story, a genre I could follow without feeling lost. Then, I moved on to graded readers designed for Spanish learners. These books were a perfect balance of challenge and comprehension, with glossaries and grammar, tips to support me along the way. Building momentum, from familiar to new worlds. Once I gained confidence, I began reading translations of books I already knew in English. For example, I had read Harry Potter and Game of Thrones in my native language, so I picked up their Spanish versions. Familiarity with the plot made it easier to focus on understanding the language itself. Eventually, I moved on to original works by Latin American authors like Isabel Allende and Jorge Luis Borges. These books weren't just language lessons, they were windows into rich cultures and histories that fascinated me. I wasn't just learning Spanish, I was connecting with the stories, emotions, and perspectives of people from a completely different world. 4. The impact of consistent reading. As the months went by, something incredible happened. I realized I was no longer struggling to understand sentences. Words I once had to look up were now part of my active vocabulary. Grammar structures that seemed confusing became second nature. After finishing my million-word challenge, I could hold conversations with native Spanish speakers, understand most of what I read, and even write my own stories in Spanish. And the best part? I achieved. This without spending hours memorizing vocabulary lists or drilling grammar rules. It all came naturally through reading. 5. What I learned along the way. Looking back, I learned several important lessons from this journey. Start simple. The key is to begin with materials that match your level and gradually increase the difficulty. Be consistent. Reading a little every day adds up over time. Even 15 minutes a day can lead to significant progress. Choose what you love. When you're genuinely interested in what you're reading, it doesn't feel like work. Embrace the process. Language learning is a journey, not a race. Celebrate small victories and enjoy the experience of discovering new words, ideas, and cultures. Overcoming challenges along the way. It wasn't all smooth sailing. There were times when I felt stuck, especially when tackling more complex books. But I learned to adapt. If a book was too difficult, I switched to something easier. If I got bored, I tried a new genre or author. If I didn't understand a word, I guessed its meaning from context instead of reaching for the dictionary immediately. Key was to stay flexible and not let challenges discourage me. Every page I read, even the difficult ones, brought me closer to fluency. The unexpected benefits of reading. My reading journey didn't just improve my language skills, it changed the way I think. Through books, I developed a deeper appreciation for different cultures, perspectives, and ways of life. I also became a more confident communicator, not just in Spanish, but in all the languages I use. Reading taught me patience, persistence, and the joy of learning. It showed me that even the most ambitious goals are achievable with the right mindset and approach. Crow. Inspiring others to start their own journey. My story isn't unique. It's proof that anyone can achieve incredible results through reading. Whether you're learning English, Spanish, or any other language, the principles remain the same. Start with books you enjoy, read consistently, and trust the process. I've shared my journey with students and friends, many of whom have started their own reading challenges. Some have even surpassed my million-word goal. Seeing others succeed has been just as rewarding as my own progress. Closing statement. My journey with reading taught me that language learning is about more than just words and grammar. It's about connection, connecting with stories, people, and cultures in ways that enrich your life. If I could do it, so can you. So pick up that book, start small, and let your own reading adventure begin. Who knows where it might take you? In the next section, we'll explore strategies to maintain your motivation and measure your progress. Stay tuned and let's keep growing together. Part 7. Steps to improve English fluency. In this section, we're going to focus on a question that's on every language learner's mind. How do I become fluent in English? Fluency isn't just about knowing grammar rules or memorizing vocabulary. It's about using the language naturally and confidently in real-life situations. Here, I'll walk you through a detailed step-by-step guide to improving your English fluency. Speak without fear. The first and most important step is to stop worrying about making mistakes. Fear is the biggest obstacle to fluency. Remember, every fluent speaker you know started as a beginner. Here's how to overcome this fear. Focus on communication, not perfection. Your goal is to make yourself understood, not to speak perfectly. Learn to laugh at your mistakes. Treat errors as opportunities to learn and grow. For example, if you use the wrong word, someone will likely correct you, and that's a valuable lesson. Take risks. Speak whenever you have the chance, whether it's in a classroom, a cafe, or with friends online. Immerse yourself in English. Immersion is one of the fastest ways to improve fluency. Surround yourself with the language as much as possible. Here's how you can do it. Consume English media. Watch movies, TV shows, and YouTube videos in English. Listen to podcasts, audiobooks, and songs. Set your devices to English. Change the language settings on your phone, computer, and social media accounts to English. Engage in everyday activities. Write your grocery lists in English. Think in English. While walking, or talk to yourself in English about your day. Build your vocabulary through context. Instead of memorizing long lists of words, focus on learning vocabulary in context. This helps you understand how words are used in real-life situations. Here's how. Read widely. Books, articles, blogs, and short stories are excellent sources of vocabulary. Keep a vocabulary journal. Write down new words you encounter, along with example sentences. Practice active recall. Test yourself regularly by trying to remember the meanings of words and using them in your own sentences. A. Practice speaking regularly. Fluency comes from speaking, so make it a daily habit. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Here are some strategies. Find a speaking partner. Join language exchange programs or find a friend who speaks English. Use language apps. Platforms like italki, HelloTalk, or Tandem can connect you with native speakers and tutors. Talk to yourself. Practice speaking aloud at home. For example, describe what you're doing, rehearse conversations, or retell a story you read. Record yourself. Record short videos or audio clips of yourself speaking. Listen back to identify areas for improvement. Master listening skills. Listening is a critical part of fluency. Understanding spoken English helps you respond naturally in conversations. Here's how to sharpen your listening skills. Start with slow content. Listen to podcasts or audiobooks designed for English learners. Use subtitles. Wisely. Watch movies or TV shows with English subtitles at first. Once you're comfortable, try turning them off. Repeat and shadow. Listen to a sentence, pause, and repeat it aloud. Try to match the speaker's pronunciation and rhythm. Learn and use common phrases and expressions. Fluency isn't just about individual words, it's about phrases and expressions that native speakers use every day. Here's how to learn them. Study idioms and collocations. Learn phrases like kick the bucket or make a decision, which are commonly used together. Memorize sentence starters. For example, phrases like, in my opinion, I'd like to, or could. You please are great for starting sentences naturally. Imitate native speakers. Pay attention to how native speakers structure their sentences and try to replicate their style. 7. Work on pronunciation and intonation. Clear pronunciation makes you easier to understand. Intonation, or the rise and fall of your voice, adds emotion and clarity to your speech. Here's how to improve. Practice with tongue twisters. These help you focus on challenging sounds. For example, try saying, she sells seashells by the seashore. Use pronunciation apps. Apps like Elsa Speak and Speechling provide feedback on your pronunciation. Record and compare. Record yourself reading a short passage, then compare it to a native speaker's version. 8. Engage in real conversations. Nothing improves fluency faster than real conversations. Here's how to make the most of your interactions. Ask open-ended questions. These encourage longer responses and keep the conversation flowing. For example, ask, "What do you think about?" instead of, "Do you like?" Share your opinions. Don't just answer questions. offer your own thoughts and ideas. This helps you practice expressing yourself. Be an active listener. Show interest in what the other person is saying by nodding, asking follow-up questions, and using expressions like "really" or "that's interesting." Stay consistent and track your progress. Fluency doesn't happen overnight, so consistency is key. Here are ways to stay on track. Set milestones. Break your journey into smaller goals, like mastering 100 new words or holding a 5-minute conversation. Celebrate achievements. Reward yourself when you reach a milestone. It keeps you motivated. Reflect on progress. Every month, ask yourself what's improved and what still needs work. This helps you adjust your learning strategy. 10. Stay motivated and have fun. Learning a language should be an enjoyable experience. Here's how to keep it fun. Mix it up. Alternate between reading, listening, writing, and speaking activities. Join a community. Connect with other learners through online forums, social media groups, or local meetups. Incorporate your hobbies. Love cooking? Follow recipes in English. Interested in sports? Watch games with English commentary. The more you integrate English into your life, the easier it will be to stay motivated. Closing statement. Improving your English fluency is a journey, but with the right steps and consistent effort, it's absolutely achievable. Speak without fear, immerse yourself in the language, and practice regularly. Remember, every word you learn and every conversation you have brings you closer to fluency. In the next section, we'll discuss how to measure your progress and stay motivated for the long term. Stay tuned and keep speaking English with confidence. Part 8. Creating Immersion. One of the most effective ways to learn English, or any language, is through immersion. Immersion means surrounding yourself with the language in your everyday life, creating an environment where English becomes a natural part of what you see, hear, and do. In this section, we'll explore how to build an immersive experience that accelerates your learning and makes English feel like second nature. What is immersion? Immersion is the process of exposing yourself to English as much as possible, in as many ways as possible. It's like living in an English-speaking country without leaving your home. Instead of treating English as a subject to study, you make it a part of your daily life. Immersion allows you to learn naturally, just like a child learns their first language. The benefits of immersion. Immersion isn't just about practicing more. It's about practicing smarter. Here's why it works so well. Natural learning. You absorb vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation by experiencing them in real-life contexts. Faster fluency. The more you use English in daily situations, the more confident and fluent you become. Cultural. Awareness. Immersion exposes you to the culture behind the language, helping you understand idioms, humor, and customs. Active engagement. When you're surrounded by English, you're constantly practicing, even when you don't realize it. How to create immersion at home. You don't need to travel abroad to immerse yourself in English. Here are practical ways to create an immersive environment right where you are. At home. Label everything. Use sticky notes to label household items with their English names. For example, put a note on your fridge that says refrigerator. Speak to yourself. Narrate your actions in English as you go about your day. For instance, say, "I'm making coffee," or "I need to clean my desk." English-only zones. Designate areas in your home where only English is allowed. This could be your bedroom, your desk, or even your kitchen, on your devices. Change your language settings. Set your phone, computer, and social media accounts to English. Subscribe to English channels. Follow English-speaking influencers, YouTube, channels, and podcasts. Use English apps. Install language learning apps or games that keep you engaged in English. Apps like Duolingo, Memrise, and Quizlet are great for this. In your daily routine, English media. Watch TV shows, movies, and YouTube videos in English. Choose topics you enjoy to keep it fun. Listen. While doing other tasks, play English podcasts or audiobooks while cooking, exercising, or commuting. Practice. Writing. Keep a journal in English or write your to-do lists in English. Think in English. Train yourself to think in English instead of your native language. Start with simple thoughts like, "What should I eat for lunch?" Build an English-speaking network. Surround yourself with people who can help you practice English. Language exchange partners. Join platforms like italki or Tandem to connect with native speakers who want to learn your language. Join communities. Participate in English speaking. Forums, social media groups, or local clubs focused on shared interests like photography, books, or fitness. Practice at work or school. If possible, use English during presentations, meetings, or group discussions. Find a study buddy. Pair up with another English learner to practice together and motivate each other. 5. Engage with English culture. Understanding the culture behind the language makes learning more meaningful and fun. Watch and analyze movies. Choose movies from English-speaking countries. Pay attention to how characters speak and interact. Read news and articles. Stay updated with global news by reading English newspapers and magazines like The Guardian, BBC News, or National Geographic. Celebrate holidays. Learn about and celebrate. English-speaking countries' holidays, like Halloween, Thanksgiving, or St. Patrick's Day. Cook recipes in English. Follow English language recipes to learn cooking terms and measurements. Overcome challenges in immersion. Immersion can feel overwhelming at first, but here's how to tackle common challenges. I don't understand everything. Focus on the general meaning instead of understanding every word. Over time, you'll pick up more details. It feels awkward. Speaking to yourself or practicing with others might feel strange at first. Remember, every learner feels this way, and it gets easier with time. I don't have enough time. Start small. Even 10 minutes a day of focused immersion can make a difference. Gradually increase your exposure as it becomes a habit. Make immersion fun and sustainable. Learning is most effective when it's enjoyable. Here are tips to make immersion a long-term habit. Gamify your learning. Set challenges for yourself, like watching 5 English videos a week or learning 10 new idioms. Reward yourself when you succeed. Mix it up. Rotate between reading, listening, writing, and speaking activities to keep things fresh. Find what inspires you. Whether it's a favorite TV show, a fascinating book, or a hobby, find ways to connect English with your passions. Track your progress. Keep a journal or use apps to measure how much English you're using daily. Celebrate milestones to stay motivated. 8. The power of persistence. Immersion isn't a one-time effort. It's a lifestyle change. The more consistent you are, the faster you'll see results. Remember, fluency doesn't happen overnight, but every small step you take brings you closer to your goal. Even when it feels challenging, remind yourself of the progress you've made and the opportunities fluency will unlock for you. Closing statement. Creating immersion is one of the most powerful ways to accelerate your English learning journey. By surrounding yourself with English in every aspect of your life, you'll not only improve your skills, but also build the confidence to use the language naturally. So start small, stay consistent, and most importantly, enjoy the process. In The next section will talk about how to maintain motivation and measure your progress as you continue on this exciting journey. Stay tuned and keep immersing yourself in English. Part 9. The Role of Teaching. Have you ever heard the saying, "The best way to learn something is to teach it"? Teaching isn't just about helping others. It's one of the most powerful ways to deepen your own understanding and improve your skills. In this section, we'll explore how teaching can play a critical role in learning English and accelerating your journey to fluency. Why teaching enhances learning. Teaching forces you to engage with the language on a deeper level. Here's why it's so effective. Clarifying concepts. When you teach, you must break down ideas and explain them clearly. This helps solidify your understanding of grammar rules, vocabulary, and sentence structures. Active recall. Teaching requires you to remember and use what you've learned, which strengthens your memory. Discovering gaps. When a student asks a question you can't answer, it highlights areas where you need more practice, giving you a clear roadmap for improvement. 2. Teaching as a beginner or intermediate learner. You don't have to be fluent to teach English. In fact, even beginners and intermediate learners can benefit from teaching. Here's how. Teach what you know. If you've recently learned something, it's fresh in your mind. Teaching it to someone else helps reinforce your knowledge. Focus on simple concepts. Start with basic grammar, vocabulary, or phrases. You might teach a friend, family member, or even a child. Use your native language as a bridge. If you share the same native language as your student, use it to explain complex ideas while practicing English together. Teaching methods that improve your English. There are many ways to teach English, and each one offers unique benefits for your learning. Peer teaching. Work with a language partner or group where you take turns teaching each other. Tutoring beginners. Teaching someone who knows less English than you do boosts your confidence and reinforces basic skills. Creating content. Write blog posts, create videos, or record podcasts explaining English concepts. This forces you to organize your thoughts and practice speaking or writing. Answering questions. Join online communities like forums or social media groups where learners ask questions. Responding to their queries improves your communication skills and deepens your understanding. The science behind teaching and learning. Research supports the idea that teaching enhances learning. A well-known study found that when people are asked to teach what they've learned, they retain significantly more information compared to those who only study for themselves. This is because teaching activates higher-order thinking skills. Analyzing. You need to understand the material well enough to explain it clearly. Synthesizing. Teaching often involves combining different concepts to create a complete explanation. Evaluating. You assess the learner's understanding and adapt your teaching methods accordingly. Personal story. How teaching improved my English. Let me share my own experience. When I started teaching English, I wasn't fluent. In fact, I felt unprepared and nervous. But teaching forced me to learn faster. I had to prepare lessons, answer unexpected questions, and explain concepts in a way that made sense to others. For example, when a student asked me about the difference between present perfect and past simple, I realized I needed to research and fully understand these tenses myself before I could teach them. Over time, I noticed that my grammar, vocabulary, and confidence improved dramatically. Teaching wasn't just a job. It was an intensive learning experience for me. 6. Overcoming challenges as a teacher-learner. Teaching isn't always easy, especially when you're still learning the language yourself. Here's how to overcome common challenges. Fear of mistakes. Remember, it's okay to make mistakes. Be honest with your students if you don't know the answer, and use it as an opportunity to learn together. Limited knowledge. Stick to teaching what you know. As you gain experience, you can expand into more advanced topics. Time management. Teaching requires preparation, but it's worth the effort. Plan lessons in advance to make the process smoother and less stressful. Opportunities to teach English. There are plenty of opportunities to teach English, even if you're not a professional teacher. Volunteer work. Many organizations seek volunteers to teach English to refugees, immigrants, or underprivileged communities. Tutoring friends or family. Offer to help someone in your circle who wants to learn English. Online teaching. Join platforms like italki, Preply, or Cambly to connect with students around the world. Create your own content. Start a blog, YouTube channel, or social media page where you share tips and lessons for English learners. 8. How teaching builds confidence. One of the greatest benefits of teaching is the boost in confidence it provides. When you see your students improving and appreciating your help, it reinforces your belief in your abilities. You begin to realize that you have valuable knowledge to share, and this makes you more comfortable using English in other areas of your life. Additionally, Teaching helps you develop public speaking skills, which are essential for both personal and professional growth. The more you practice explaining ideas in English, the more fluent and natural you'll sound. Teaching as a pathway to mastery. Teaching isn't just about fluency, it's about mastery. When you teach, you're constantly revisiting and refining your knowledge. Over time, this process turns you into an expert. Even if your goal isn't to become a teacher, the skills and confidence you gain from teaching will benefit you in any field you pursue. 10. A challenge for you. I want to challenge you to start teaching English today. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to take the first step. Here's how. Find a friend or family member who wants to learn English. Teach them something simple, like basic greetings, numbers, or common phrases. Reflect on the experience. What did you learn from teaching? What can you improve next time? As you gain confidence, you can take on more challenging topics and expand your teaching to larger groups or online platforms. Closing statement. Teaching isn't just a way to help others. It's one of the most powerful tools for improving your own English skills. It deepens your understanding, builds your confidence, and strengthens your ability to communicate effectively. So don't wait. Start sharing what you know and watch how teaching transforms your language journey. In the next section, we'll discuss how to maintain your motivation and measure your progress as you continue learning English. Stay tuned and keep growing through teaching. Part 10. Conclusion. We've come a long way together on this journey to explore how reading and immersion can transform your English learning experience. From understanding the benefits of reading to discovering practical tips and even embracing the power of teaching, we've covered so much ground. Now, it's time to bring everything together with a clear and motivating conclusion. Recap of key takeaways. Let's begin by revisiting the most important points we've discussed. Reading is transformative. It improves your vocabulary, grammar, and overall fluency while making learning enjoyable. Reading for pleasure is key. Choosing materials you love helps you stay motivated and makes learning feel effortless. Success stories prove it works. Real-life examples and experiments show how reading and immersion accelerate language learning. Practical steps. Make it achievable. From finding the right books to setting goals and creating an immersive environment, you now have the tools to succeed. Teaching deepens your skills. Sharing. What you've learned reinforces your knowledge and builds confidence. 2. Why English fluency is worth the effort. Learning English is more than just a skill. It's an opportunity. It opens doors to better job prospects, academic achievements, and meaningful connections with people around the world. Imagine the freedom of traveling to new countries, understanding diverse cultures, or accessing unlimited knowledge, all made possible by your ability to communicate fluently in English. Yes, the journey is challenging, but every small step brings you closer to these rewards. Every word you learn, every page you read, and every conversation you have adds to your progress. Overcoming challenges along the way. It's normal to feel stuck or discouraged at times, but remember, consistency is key. Small, daily efforts are more powerful than sporadic bursts of activity. Progress over perfection. Don't focus on being perfect. Focus on improving a little each day. Stay flexible. If something isn't working, adjust your methods. Learning is a personal journey, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach. The bigger picture. Lifelong learning. Fluency in English isn't the end of the journey. It's just the beginning. Once you achieve fluency, you'll realize that learning never truly stops. You'll continue to grow as you read more books, engage in deeper conversations, and explore new fields of knowledge. Language learning is a lifelong adventure, and each milestone is a reminder of how far you've come. A call to action. So what's next? The answer is simple. Take action. Here's how you can start today. Choose a book. Find a book that excites you and start reading, even if it's just one page. Immerse yourself. Surround yourself with English through media, conversations, and daily habits. Teach someone. Share what you've learned with a friend, family member, or online community. Set a goal. Decide on one small, achievable goal for the week, whether it's reading a chapter, watching a movie in English, or learning 10 new words. 6. A message of encouragement. Remember, every great achievement starts with a small step. Learning English is no different. The road might be long, but you're not alone. Millions of learners around the world are on the same journey, and your dedication sets you apart. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and keep pushing forward. Fluency isn't just about speaking a language. It's about opening doors to a world of opportunities, experiences, and connections. You're capable of achieving it, and I believe in your ability to succeed. 7. Closing words. As we wrap up this journey, I want to leave you with this thought. Learning English isn't just about the language. It's about the person you become along the way. It's about your resilience, curiosity, and willingness to step out of your comfort zone. These qualities will serve you not only in learning English, but in every aspect of your life. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your learning journey. I hope this series has inspired you to take your English to the next level. Now, it's your turn to take the first step. Open a book, start a conversation, or try something new. The possibilities are endless, and your journey is just beginning. Invitation to stay connected. If you're looking for more guidance, motivation, or tips, don't hesitate to reach out. Whether it's through online resources, podcasts, or learning communities, there's always support available to help you succeed. Let's continue learning together and making progress every day. Final words. Here's to your success in mastering English. Remember, the journey may be long, but the rewards are worth every step. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself. You've got this. Great work today. Every moment you spend practicing brings you closer to mastering your English listening and speaking skills. Remember, progress comes with patience and consistency. If this story inspired you or helped you in your learning journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more lessons and stories. Keep listening, keep speaking, and keep believing in your growth. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and keep shining.